Do you have a creative project that needs funding? A movie or documentary you know needs to be made but has no financial backing? A cafe to cater to lovers of movies, books, music, or all of the above, but getting a loan or crowdfunding is not working? A new platform that will provide much needed creative services, but you don't know how to pitch to investors. Or maybe an AI driven animated movie reflecting the history and culture of your country, but too revolutionary for traditional businessmen to fund. Did you know that there are companies and businesses actively looking to fund creative projects? And do you know who can help you get those corporate partnerships? Kirstyn Allen. Kirstyn J. Allen is an award winning marketer, accomplished B2B sales professional, and international speaker. But one thing she is passionate about is helping entrepreneurs and visionaries find corporate funding for their projects, creative or otherwise. And today, she is joining us to tell us how you can find those creative sponsors to fund your creative projects. Okay, Kristen. So why will because majority of my audiences are creative people, why will they partner with companies, with corporations instead of funding the project themselves or doing crowdfunding?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think, like a lot of us, I did the same thing when I started my business. We think, our resources are the things that are quick that we can get to quickly and get things off the road. But really, that's our most prized treasure because when that's gone, everything is gone, right? And so the biggest thing that I believe any person can do if you're going to spend your time is to go after the highest level opportunities with corporations, the people who have a surplus of the money. They're looking for projects to, or people or experts to be able to spend it with and go to them first. The same amount of time you will put together a Kickstarter campaign or any type of other crowdfunding, I would rather divert that into getting one person to say yes and then tapping into the $100,000, $200,000, or even $1 million I may need to fund the project. And so I believe it's imperative to start at the top. Don't use your own money because that's all you got. How can you use
Mm,
the money of those who have a surplus to be able to get your project off faster and developing the skills? And so I think you either have the time or you have the money to be able to move things forward. And I think if you have more time than money, use your time to get those higher level opportunities first.
okay. How much of control do you give up? I know that it might be a legal something,
Mhm.
but so how much of it? How much do I give up?
Yeah, so definitely get with your attorneys on this. I work with attorneys as well, and definitely advise my clients to do if they're not already. But I think that question really boils down to, and what you would want to have a conversation with your attorney about is what is your long term goal for the project? So I've seen some instances where maybe you might license the entire rights to the project because it aligns with your goals. Maybe this is a smaller thing that you're looking just to achieve some additional capital and you're willing to do that. Whereas this might be a legacy project that you're not looking to give up,
Mhm.
and you may only want to do a small percentage, and there are pros and cons to whatever way you decide to structure that. So I think that question really depends on what are the 5, 10, 20-year goals that you have for the project. What is, of course, your attorney advising based upon that? And then even looking at your financial projections and picture what makes the most sense for what it is that you have put together and what makes sense for the negotiation conversations with that partner. So developing your non-negotiables are going to be important based upon that.
Okay. All right. So you touched on this a little, but I kind of want to do it step by step.
Okay.
Let's do it strategically, I guess is the right word for it. So if I have a project, what steps do I take first in order to, I guess, fine tune my project for
Mhm.
it to be pitchable?
Yeah.
And then the next step would be, then how do I find the partner, the right partner to pitch it to? Or is it reverse? Find the right partner and then work on my pitch.
So your first process was right. You need to identify what it is that you have first. And then what are your goals even for seeking a corporate partner, right? So, what are the financial goals that you're looking to hit? Is it that you're looking to get exposure to a different audience as well? So, there's more than just the financial piece that you want to consider when you're looking at corporate partners. Then you want to look at, okay, what are the missions? What are the themes, the values? What is the importance of this project that are really highlighted that I know will likely be a similar value that a corporation or organization would have as well. So I think doing your own internal audit of what you have, what your goals are, and what makes sense for the project is going to be first. And then based upon that, then you can say, okay, here's what I have. Who are the best partners that share this mission, that either have something I don't and I have something they don't, and then
Mhm.
begin to develop your list of people that way.
Okay. Okay. So then, okay. So for how do I find those people?
Yes.
Social media, networking.
Yeah, so LinkedIn is going to be a great place, but also what I advise my clients to do is start with your warm network. Most times we have a good bit of opportunities that are just right at our fingertips. We just haven't recognized how we can leverage them and really put together those talk tracks. So just looking at your warm network, whether that is on LinkedIn or your texts or events that you've been to, or maybe previous jobs, or whoever you can think of that could be connected to an organization that has a shared mission, start there, because those opportunities are going to move the fastest. And even if that person can connect you with someone else, you'll be surprised just using that first degree of connections, how far that can get you on its own. And then from there, you can use things like LinkedIn to start to connect with those people who have the job titles that align with the decision makers you are looking to get in contact with. We talked about in-person events, so go and meet these people face to face. And then we also talked about even getting opportunities to do speaking, right? So maybe there is some type of filmmakers event, and there's an opportunity for a panel or a breakout session or something like that. Putting you in a place of authority and being able to present on a particular topic also opens up conversations to decision makers as well. You just got to make sure they're in the room. So you got to
Right.
be able to audit events and things that you're going to ensure it's the best use of your time.
Okay. I guess one of the most common problems that I encounter that are told to me by people who have great ideas is that they are, they're not used to putting themselves out there, to
Yes.
pitching, to speaking. Like they don't know how to dress up, they don't know how to speak. So if you have a highly very very insecure person in front of you, but also brilliant, with a brilliant idea and can
Yeah.
actually be good in execution, where do you start?
Yeah, I think this is a great question and a great point to pull out, because even if someone doesn't identify as insecure, sometimes those things can still come up for the people who seem to have it all together because
Yeah.
it's a new space and they feel like, well, I dominate here. I'm not sure about over here. And I think the first thing that I help people do is to recognize what they have inside, right? So to remind them, companies, investors, or whatever are not looking for you to be an expert in what they do. They're looking for an expert in what you do.
Mm.
So you need to just uncover, if we need to write it down, if we need to talk it out, so that you can really understand what it is that you have to offer, and not try to put yourself in their shoes, not try to say, well, they're so far
Mhm.
along or they're such a big company. Forget all of that. You are the greatest version of yourself.
Mhm.
And that is what they're looking for, you to show up as that 100%, 110% version of you. And that's what's going to sell the deal. They don't need people to know what they know. They need you to know what you know and be confident and strong in that.
Got it. Okay. So this is a struggle even to me. I'm an immigrant. So I moved here about 13 years ago,
Yeah.
and I did marketing in the Philippines.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, so that part I was like, okay about. But then one of the struggles that I encountered, and this is more mental, I guess, psychological for me, it was that I said, I have an accent. I
Yeah.
can speak English, but I have an accent. And I don't think, and I wasn't sure if it was like, this is America, and in marketing they would most likely want to speak with people that are local.
Yeah.
They sound like them, because there's also a cultural like sensibilities that I don't understand fully because I wasn't born and raised here.
Yeah.
So Is has it ever been, I guess, to you or to any of your clients, has it ever been a problem where you felt that the culture is just way too different and you can't bridge it?
Yeah. I think that's important to point out too, even from people who are like me, represent are American, but as a diverse American, we can face some of those similar things, especially in certain spaces. So yes, I've definitely seen that, and I think that one of the main things is the identity work, again, like what I talked about before, and just really not trying to pretend or be anyone that you're not.
Mm,
I think the most important way that we can really show up and be our best is just to own it. Like, I have an accent. I'm not hiding it. I'm not,
mm,
timidly talking just so you can't I'm going to speak loud with my accent because I know that I'm brilliant. I know that what I carry, and I know that people are going to, if they got to lean in closer, if they got to ask me to repeat it, they want to hear what I have to say. And that
mm,
energy, I believe, changes the room around you. And it's hard to kind of think about that because it's a little bit of a mindset shift for sure. But confidence sells. Like confidence and knowing yourself and just being fully who you are, people will adjust to
mm,
magnify towards that. And so I think that's the biggest thing to remember is kind of not undoing because it's there, but how do you move past, okay, there's this fear, I see you, but I'm going to continue to go anyway with where I'm supposed to go because my why, my passion, my purpose is too important for me to let my fears hold me back. So
okay.
those are some of the things I have to remind myself of as well, even in certain spaces that may feel new. Um, and just continue at it. The better you do it, the more that you'll get comfortable with it. That's the best way to do it.
Right. Is it beneficial to attend classes, personality development classes, or stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that?
Yes, professional development classes are super, super important. Speaking, especially in pitching. So, public speaking is going to be important. I've even seen people do things like improv or comedy classes, right? To make it fun, but still give you opportunities to get on stage, to be comfortable with yourself, and to build your voice. I definitely invest in personal development and will continue to. So, that's going to make you a better storyteller, a better pitcher, a better business person.
Okay. Is that something that you offer in your company, or do you have partners that you can recommend?
Yeah, I absolutely have partners in that I can recommend, and certain trainings and things that I would do, certification programs. Yeah, so we definitely support people with doing that too.
Okay. Okay. So going back into the pitch. So let's assume that, okay, I have like a list of 50 people
Yep.
or 50 companies that I feel is aligned with my vision and something
Mhm.
that I can also provide value to them.
Yeah.
So what's the next step? Once I have this list and once I know what I am offering,
Yeah.
what's the next step? What do I do?
Yeah, so you want to make sure you're contacting the right person. So when it comes to, sponsorships, for example, companies have whole sponsorship departments, plenty of different people who are underneath that particular umbrella. So you want to make sure you get in contact with someone who is over these types of agreements or these types of partnerships. So it may be director of sponsorships, director of partnerships, whatever their title may be. Every company has different ones. So you want to then profile who are the specific people that you need to talk to within these organizations. And I typically recommend having between 2 and 3 contacts, depending on how large the company is, so that you can begin to build relationships in those organizations. And then from there, you're going to develop a very concise, I do not like to use the word pitch because when you
Mhm.
first meet someone, you're not pitching them anything. If you walked up to me on the street, and people do this all the time, but they, oh, do you want to buy this? It's likely a no. But if you say, hey, I really, you go to the mall and there's those people with the straighteners and they want to straighten your hair or whatever. Hey, I really love your hair. I like how you did this, da da da. I would love for you to come over here and check out this product. Then I'm a little bit more open to kind of see, oh, okay, they noticed something about me. And that's why they're calling me over to have a conversation to see if there is a potential solution that I could have. So, same way when you're dealing with corporate people, when you put together your first outreach, it should be informative. hey, I
Mm.
noticed X, Y, and Z company is really passionate about this, or this is a value focus that you all have. I know that you are a part of this particular department. I would love to be able to have a conversation with you and learn a little bit more about your priorities for sponsorship partnerships, and see if there's an opportunity where I can share, see if there's an opportunity for us to continue this conversation, and kind of going into you a little bit, but not necessarily a full on, hey, here's what I have. Do you want to partner? But the sentiment behind is more than just the words that I said, because I switch up the words, a lot of the times. But the overall sentiment is, I've noticed this. I think there's an opportunity here. Let's have a conversation and see how I can support you in this.
Okay. All right. So I guess the point of that is to get an appointment to either,
Yes.
yeah, that do a presentation or whatever. So then, uh do you have like a based on your general experience, do you have a ratio on success versus failures? Like how many no's do you expect before you get that one yes?
Yeah, so this is a good question. It can vary, right? But I would say expect a lot. Expect a lot of no's.
Right.
Yeah, and then if the yes happens on the first try, then it's a miracle. You're happy about it. I tell people that because I think oftentimes, especially like in our social media or our fast-paced world, we're just expecting things to kind of just go really
Happen.
fast. And with corporate opportunities in these organizations, oftentimes they move a bit slower, right? In order to get back to you, in order to, you know, move an invoice forward. Like there is a process. And so I like to level set people to know, like, you got to really want to do this and you have to really believe in what you're doing, because the payoff is going to be amazing, but you got to put in the time to get the face time. You've got to be willing to go through a couple of follow-ups. Like it's not going to be anything crazy. You're not knocking down doors, every single day in the cold and rain trying to get a
Right.
deal. You're just sending emails, but you're
Right.
going to have to do it in a way that you have to show commitment, because otherwise one email is not going to cut it. So what I find in terms of people who are more successful versus others is those who get easily discouraged. Like if one no is going to take you out of the game,
Hmm.
you want to work on that very quickly. So
Right.
expect a lot of no's, and then when
Okay.
the yes comes, celebrate it.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess just a lot of people aren't used to doing the hustle anymore because
Yeah.
things are so easy. Okay, so once you get the appointment and you're ready to, now you're going to need to prepare for your presentation.
Yeah.
So get walk us through it. What are the things that we need to get, experts that we need to get, do we consult a lawyer or whatever? And
Mhm.
what are the necessary information that has to be in that presentation?
Yeah, so you definitely want to have a lawyer on board or financial person on board so that you can make sure that you have your numbers together. You could do it yourself, but having somebody who has the strategy for you and how to present yourself, having those public speaking classes or someone to help you put this together, especially if you've never done it before, is going to be important. But inside of that, I call it a proposal conversation that you want to have, or a pitch meeting. So at this point, you're actually putting something together to pitch to them once you've gathered some information. So your first conversation is not necessarily going to be that full pitch, because
Mhm.
really at this stage, you're looking to see if this is even a viable person you should continue the conversation with. So I would say at this stage, really slow yourself down a bit and like walk through the steps. So don't just jump on ready to do a presentation, but really sit down and listen to them to understand what their challenges are, where they're focused right now, what are the gaps, where do they need, what is the access that they may be looking for. That's going to help you so much in developing an actual presentation, because the thing you don't want to do is just go behind the scenes, develop something and present it, and then they'll be nice to you, they'll smile and nod, but then they won't move forward because nothing in it connected to them, right? So
Right,
you
right.
have to be willing to have that conversation. Yes, you do research, but that's still only surface level. What matters for that particular person? So in that conversation, you really want to extract those things first and
Mhm.
then be able to say, based upon this, I would love to put something together that I think is going to hit X, Y, and Z points that you shared with me today.
Okay. All right. So I guess give us some tips. Like one, maybe give us like some of the best things you can do, maybe one or two or three things that you must do when you are presenting, and
Yeah.
maybe the worst things that you can ever do in a
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah, so I would say top 3 best things that you wanna do is, first of all, ask if anything has changed since the last time that you talked. That's one of the first slides that I have when
Mm,
I give people the presentation deck that I give my clients to put together, is ask that, because companies can often be fast moving, priorities can change, layoffs can happen, and all the things. And again, the last thing you wanna do is present something and then it's no longer relevant to the company. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, don't spend so much time on you and your background and all those things, because quite honestly, if you do this in the process that I put together, this is your second conversation. So they should already know a good bit about who you are. You don't need to include that in the presentation as much, right? You
mhm,
want to focus this really in on how it solves their problem. So you may have some in there, especially if you have new people coming to the conversation, but your story is short. Really, you want them to be painting the picture of what the story looks like for them when they partner with you on this project. That should be the meat of what you're talking about. And then the last thing that I'll say in terms of do's is going to be, make a clear like, what are the next steps? Make that very clear. So you shouldn't leave the conversation, oh, well, are they going to move forward, or are they not? Okay, I'll just follow up with you in a few days. No. What is the
mhm.
specific time frame, or what are we doing next? Are you talking to someone? Am I talking to someone? And when are you going, and set a deadline for when they need to move forward?
Okay.
Remembering that you're in the power seat, right? So even though you're requesting a partnership, still set the tone to do this in a very strategic way. Hey, by this time frame, we would need to come to a decision on how we want to move forward. Is this something that you're able to commit to? So that, again, that confidence has to come through, and
Right.
people will move in the way that you show them how to move.
Right.
And I would say the don'ts would be, not leaving space for questions. So don't talk the whole entire time.
Mhm.
Stop. How does this sound? What are your initial thoughts when you're hearing this? So making it interactive is going to help move the conversation and build connection along the way. Um, Another don't that I would say is, don't be so heavily connected to slides, and feeling, I think that's kind of a nervous habit sometimes, and figuring out, oh, what do I say next, and getting discombobulated. Speak from the heart. Know the system, and like, know the process that you need to move them through in the conversation, but speak to the heart, because if you're looking at slides, that's disconnected.
Right.
And then the last don't that I would say in that conversation is, I think I just have to highlight the other one. Don't leave without a clear plan of how you're moving forward.
Mhm.
I think that's the major misstep, because once you get off that call, now you have to compete with all the priorities that they have going on. So if a
Mhm.
fire happens in their, regular day-to-day work, you're going to get pushed to the side. So how can you ensure, while you've got their attention, that you're clear on the next steps?
Okay. Have you ever had, by the way, that bit about making sure that there is a next step, that's, you're the first person who ever told me that. Like,
Ah,
when, yeah, because most of the time you're kind of, because you feel like you're the one asking for a favor, it's
yeah.
so hard to ask, like, okay, so what are we going to do next? It feels so imposing. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
But that's how
okay.
you gotta be. That's how you
Right.
gotta be, because then they're like, "Oh, she's serious," right?
Right. Right.
And that's the perception that you want to have, because even when people partner with you, still it's your project. So you
Right.
don't want them thinking that they're kind of running the show when they do that. So from the very beginning, you want to be sure you're clear on, here's how we're moving forward.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Next question. So, are there some non-obvious industries or businesses that are actually great for creative partnerships that you feel are underutilized?
Yeah. So when you say this question, I think most people might be thinking the brands that we see every day that's doing promotion. So if you do something active, you might be thinking about Nike or Under Armour, or these different brands that we see on TV. But even the ones, like one in particular that I heard recently that was super interesting was 3M. That could be a non-obvious industry
Wow.
or business that could have creative partnerships. So they have actually done a docu-series, and you can look this up and see some instances of it, but they're big on sustainability. So they've partnered with creatives who have products that are aligned with that, or who have projects that's aligned with sustainability messaging, and
Mhm.
they have formed that collaboration. And so again, seems like how, but the values and what they're focused on aligns with the creative's project that they're producing, and other, parts of that benefit them as well. They get access to a new audience, they build deeper connections with those who want to purchase their products, because storytelling sells. And so if they can connect to you as a creative to tell a story and get in front of new customers, you've got something they don't have. 3M
Right.
does not have the ability to produce a project. I mean, they could, but that's not their line of business. So
Right.
you, instead of them having to figure out, well, how do we create a production studio and start telling these stories? You say, I sell stories. So all I need is your partnership, and I can tell the stories that you need to get deeper with your clients.
Okay, I've never thought of 3M.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's why we have experts like you to help us figure this out. Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess just leading into the closing of this interview, what are some of your, like, just on a personal level, what are some of the favorite projects that you've worked on that you never thought, even you thought, this might have medium success, but actually turned out to be really, really beneficial to everybody?
Yeah. So it's a couple of clients that I've worked with that have done really well, and really excited about the things that they're doing. So a lot of the clients that I work with now, again, they're experts in different areas. So their projects that they're pitching to corporations might be for doing training, or I've had clients pitch for investment into their companies and things of that nature. And one in particular, this is another kind of like non-obvious brand, but I had a client that developed a partnership with Louis Vuitton, and
Mm,
that partnership was to do training for their internal employees. And so again, we think of it as a luxury goods brand, and how would that really make sense for, partnerships? But people work within the corporation, and this particular expert had knowledge about burnout practices and stress management, and that's what they needed inside of that organization. So she created that partnership. So I think with that, and all of the instances where I've had clients work with universities or nonprofits and all of that, it's understanding that there's literally opportunities everywhere. And even as we just gave that 3M example, there's another one that I recently thought about. This wasn't a project that I worked on, but with the outdoor company REI, which is similar to like Dick's Sporting Goods and all of those.
yeah, yeah.
They're big in this creative space as well. They've created a docu-series that they've partnered with creatives to, again, deepen that storytelling message. And so I think specifically for the creatives listening to this, think outside of the box in terms of what your values are and how other companies are already exuding those values, and they want to build deeper connections with the audience they have, and they don't have the capability to tell stories the way you do.
Right.
That is an opportunity for many different companies that you can start tapping into right now, because traditional advertising is great, but when we think about this generation of people who are buyers, they like connection. And so
Right.
if you can have a company, if you can help a company take off a corporate mask and instead put on a personality, more people are going to be engaged and loyal to that brand, which makes more money for that company.
Okay. Have you ever has anybody approached you with a project and you felt like, yeah, no, this is hopeless? Or do you do you think every project has a potential? It's just a matter of finding the right partner for them.
Yeah, I may be a little biased because I feel like everything has a place, and I'm a person who's like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Right.
So I haven't had that yet. Well, there are some people that have come to me and maybe they do different things, and I'm like, it wouldn't necessarily fit into the traditional sense of corporations. Like I said, there are opportunities to partner with school systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Universities. So even the same way that we're talking about like a corporate brand, I could even see a university wanting to do a similar thing and tell stories with their audiences. And so sometimes it's just thinking outside of the box, and not just the companies that we spend with every day, but somebody. If you have if you have a project and a mission that you're looking to move forward, it's got to be some organization that shares in that too.
So it's just a matter of finding them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess walk us through again, just for the benefit, to make it a little bit more simple. Just walk us through again, what is it that you offer in the company,
Yep.
and then and how they can actually get in touch with you, just in case.
Yeah. So, what I do is I work with experts, individuals who are looking to create partnerships with corporations. So, it is in the realm of marketing and sales. If you're looking to put how to position yourself and what exactly to say to these corporations to get them to partner with you,
Mm-hmm.
I am my organization are the people that you want to work with. And so, in terms of how to connect with me, you can visit my website as is shown here on the screen. There is a segment where you can look and book a call with me. So it'll be under the services tab. Yep. So you'll see that page right there, work with Kirstyn, and you'll be able to see all the information of people that I've worked with and how we can get on a call to see how I can support your project.
Okay, perfect. So you did mention, just to make it very clear to everybody, you did mention that you usually work with somebody who already has experience working with corporations.
Mhm.
So what if somebody comes to you and say, I have zero knowledge. Is
Yeah.
there like someone you can recommend to them that go to here first, do personality development or whatever, or what should they do before they can actually start working with you?
Yeah. So we would do an assessment. So that first conversation is an assessment to see where you are. And in terms of, work with corporate before, it's really just understanding the baseline. So even if you've worked inside of an organization before, so maybe you haven't had this particular partnership conversation, but you understand how corporate works and you
Mm-hmm.
have something that's actually sellable, that makes it easier on our end to be able to make what you have better. But if you are not quite in that space yet, then I still would recommend having a conversation so we can figure out what the holes are during that assessment call and then be able to guide you in the right way. Because you may be thinking, when I talk to some people, they're like, oh, well, actually, I have worked with corporate before. And I'm like, yeah, you have. So I think that sometimes we discredit our experience just because we haven't created what we're looking for now. We
Right.
haven't looked back and seen, oh, here are the things that I actually have done that can lead well to this, and I'm good at pulling that out for people.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you. This is very, very helpful. I think I might give you a call someday.
Okay.
There are some projects that I do want to, that I actually want to get off the ground. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.